What's happening? Andy Slawetsky here. I am joined today by Jim Coriddi, Vice President at Ricoh. How you doing today, Jim?
I'm doing very well, Andy. How's everything up north?
Up north is very wet and a little damp today. We've been through quite a little storm for the last few days, and it doesn't seem to be letting up. But we had a good run, right? So it's not snow. I can't complain. You are where? You're in Jersey? Are you home? Are you at the office?
Yeah, I'm in North Jersey. I'll actually be heading down the Jersey Shore for the next 5 days or so. Again, working remotely, so it really doesn't matter where you plug in. But yeah, we're trying to, get everything done and stay sane at the same time.
Yeah. I imagine, I know up here it's going to be these trips to the shore, to the beach, or to the lake, or wherever it is, they're going to be fewer and fewer. So get it in while you can.
Exactly.
We chatted back in, I want to say April. It was definitely, right at the beginning of this, and we were, all sort of pulling our hair out, and that's what I'm left with, just sort of trying to figure things out and where we were going and what was happening. And, I think everybody's kind of caught their stride now, and so seemed like a good time to do a follow-up. I appreciate you stopping on and taking some time to spend with me today.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it.
So we are coming up on a year, right? Just about a year since we were at Ricoh ConvergX, the last one that you had in Las Vegas. Great time. I'm going to share my screen out, share some of the fun, right? I think you know this guy. Suzanne was out there. It was her first big meeting. Joji. We had some awards going out. Just the whole crew was there, and just a great floor, great setup. It was a big deal for you guys. You did some things differently. You were really, really focused on some of the bigger dealers, I would call them. Maybe not necessarily the bigger dealers, but you focused on the principals at that, right? So
exactly.
You've had a year since then. You had a lot going on at that meeting. There was a lot of talk about cloud. There was a lot of talk about some billing, new billing ways you're gonna offer some new programs to the dealers. What's been happening with you guys now? Where are you with everything? And catch us up on where Ricoh is right now.
Yeah, it's seeing those photos, that's wild. Everybody's sitting there shoulder to shoulder, no masks. People were sneezing publicly and nobody was running out of the room. But no, it just like you said, that meeting was in some ways, a special meeting in that we only had dealer principals for the most part, because we were talking about more of getting into the strategic initiatives. The whole theme was partnering for customer value. We talked about the importance of understanding customer workflow, offering software services, really to overall help customers better manage their business, right? So we did all that. And actually the first slide you showed there had the different breakout sessions that turned into programs and training initiatives that we were looking to work with the dealers on to help accelerate their ability to digitize the business, right? So those breakout sessions, each one of them turned into programs, right?
Yep.
And so what we did, we started launching this activity, excuse me, in the beginning of the calendar year. And we were just coming off of the last quarter of the calendar year, all the unit reports on the core products. Ricoh was the #1 growth in A3 and life was good.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, bang, COVID hits in March, right? So the thing I would say leading into, where are we? I think the good news is that we did have the right strategy. The issue was really time, right? We thought this transformation was going to take a couple of years, right? And now we had to kick into gear in a couple of months because all of a sudden customers needed to accommodate the remote worker, right? IT services exploded. All these things we were talking about became an in-your-face reality.
Yeah.
So what we did from there, just to catch up from when we spoke in April, we reworked these programs I was talking about and added different offerings and went into what we called our dealer business continuity playbook, right? We changed everything to virtual. We intensified the focus on selling software and cloud and really managing information remotely. And in the first quarter of our fiscal year, which was April, May, June, everything was focused on training, right? We were training our people, and we had our people training our dealers at the field level, because we were looking at it, and you and I chatted about this before. We kind of looked at it as a sense of urgency opportunity to accelerate this digital transformation that we've been talking about so much, right? And then we also included digital marketing to help with lead generation. Our people, the people in the dealer division in my group, their commissions for that first quarter were based on this remote training activity, not sales. And what we found, and what our dealers told us, is it was a great way to keep their salespeople productive. Not only learning what they need to learn, but also learning how to get in front of customers, even when people weren't in the office. So anyway, it was a wild transition, but I will say it was kind of in line. It just sped everything up.
So the amazing thing is the number of programs that you guys, you're coming out with. You thought you had all this time and planned, how you were going to implement, and then all of a sudden, boom, right? Suddenly, there is no office anymore. No one's coming in. You're all working from all over the country, trying to collaborate, trying to contribute. Which ironically, you sell collaboration, software and hardware as well. So
right.
I guess it was a good test of your own solutions and make sure they work, and clearly they do. But how did it go in the pivot that you guys did, in the middle of trying to get all this out to the dealers? It's one thing to show these dealer principles at this level, and you kind of lost the ability to show that next level down, the sales management and the sales people, by only focusing on the high level, which I think was a really, really interesting way to approach that meeting. But in going forward, you're trying to bring this out to the field now, right? And your plan was you're going to send reps out, DSMs, or whatever Ricoh's version of a DSM is, a sales manager for a region, would be sending these people out to the field, and obviously that's gone. You can only do so much remote. Like, how did you organize this? You must have had to rethink, how are we going to implement, and not just in one area, but you saw that slide before. There were what were there, 10 different areas that you were working on, and to try to bring all that to the dealers over a 6-month period. How did you do that? How did that go? And where were the speed bumps, and what were you surprised about as far as rolling that out that went really, really smoothly?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the good news with ConvergeX, focusing in on the dealer principles, I think we got the buy-in for what needed to be done, and a lot of feedback and input. So once we started creating what the deliverables were, then what happened is we then had to go completely virtual.
Yeah. And
that playbook I was telling you about, the dealer business continuity playbook, that's the thing that it's kind of a menu. And depending on the dealership, depending on what our new name for the DSM is business consultant. So our new dealer business consultant would determine, working with dealer management, which elements they wanted to pick off of the menu, and then we would drive that. And Andy, I'm telling you, there's very different elements to all of them. We even have one element, and you'd appreciate this, being kind of a second generation to the business. But we have one program called RDNA, and think of Ricoh and then DNA. But the whole thing is training and providing workshops, and almost like a college course on what it's going to be for the next generation taking the dealership. So if you own the dealership, if your dad, if Lou owned the dealership and you were the next one coming in, we have a whole program around preparing those folks. So and I'll tell you, and again, it was all virtual, but it really worked out so well, because we pivoted a lot of the curriculum about leading through crisis. And really a lot of folks got a lot out of it. Certainly Ricoh got a lot out of it with the input from the dealers. But just as an example, so did we have challenges? Of course. It would have always been better, and I think in a lot of ways more effective, to be able to be face to face with the sales groups. But at the same time, and I'm not trying to make lemonade out of lemons here, but because we had to do everything virtual, and we had to be able to kind of walk the talk, we were actually teaching as we were implementing. That's the new crazy world we're in. So it was not without challenge, but I do think we were able to speed up a lot of the things that had to be done. We had to do a lot more training with our people. Our people didn't have that skill set either. I think where we are now, I think we have a support team that's more capable. And I think we've been able to interact and engage with our dealer sales teams. And I think it's helped make them more capable to get in front of their customers, even when everybody's not in the office.
So that leads me to another question. You have, just so much content, so many of the services that have been rolling out. Clearly they help your dealers, differentiate themselves. Otherwise, everyone's selling hardware. It's the same, whether it's brand A, B, or C, I don't care. Everyone's got the same green button, or at least they used to have buttons. Looking forward, Ricoh, the tendency in the past and probably for the foreseeable future, your dealers tend to be larger. They tend to be, market by market. They tend to be on the bigger side, right? Typically just a bigger player in their market. What are some of the characteristics of what would you consider a successful dealer? What are some things that dealers are doing now, I think, to position themselves to, move forward in a world that, it was obviously a different world than when you guys had ConvergeX even just a year ago, where it was business as usual, print, and, workflow and whatever else. But, now print's changing, their customers are changing, the way they work, they're working remotely in many cases. What's a successful dealer look like to you now?
Well, I think, first of all, from an overall standpoint, I think our feeling more than ever is that the dealer needs to become the customer's helpline. They have to be the 911 call to solve not only what used to be the print problems, but to solve problems associated with managing their inventory overall, right? So the dealer as the trusted print provider, right, needs to expand to managing the customer's information flow overall. So when you think about characteristics, what does a successful dealer need to be? I think you got to look at the customer and the customer's care-abouts, right? And actually we, characteristically, as you know, Ricoh, for a Japanese-based manufacturer, has the largest direct operations, right? So we are responsible for, and we have customers that are of the largest companies in the country, in the world. So we've had to invest in a lot of different types of resources. And recently, the interesting thing is, recently we did a survey of the C-suite, right? And we asked them what's going on in their world. And what they're saying things like, we need our provider to care about my company's overall operation. We need you to focus on my customer, not just me. Help me improve my business performance overall. When we did the survey, 68% said agility is the most important attribute to our business health, right? So what does that tell you? Exactly what you just said, Andy. Customers' decisions are just different today, and they're going to continue to evolve. It's going to continue to change. So we have to be, and we have to support our dealers to be more flexible, more agile. We have to be prepared to help, how the customers access information, how they manage it, how they, and you mentioned before, how they consume the information, how they pay for it. So, when we think in terms of characteristics for the dealer, the dealer sales forces have to be prepared to approach the customer in a more consultative manner, right? So with that, training is going to be much more critical. As I said before, we have to arm the sales force with new types of skills. They have to have virtual selling skills, right? There has to be investment in training them around software and services. And by the way, their engagement needs to be a different kind of mix, right? There has to be email marketing. There has to be social marketing one-on-one. So that's a big part of it too. Another thing, because this could be construed as adding complexity, we need to find ways to simplify. So we have to have more bundled solutions, more packaging, and then leading to what we said, maybe part of that package is some subscription-based billing, right? And I guess, the other thing that I think is very, very important is having a very strong digital presence. I think that's your world, right?
Yeah.
The web strategy, they have to have an overall web strategy, right? And they have to be able to use it. They have to be able to apply vignettes, little videos as part of what they put in front of their customers to generate more demand, right? They have to have social strategies. So we're looking to support that. I don't know if you've been on Ricoh's website recently, but we just launched our new branding campaign, and it's actually called Focus on the Future, right? And it's about, what we have to do now is we have to uncover the customer's hidden problems. We need to, whatever we're going to offer, we have to offer it in a simplistic way. We have to simplify it. And overall, we just have to, and I think the words we actually use is remove obstacles for customers to be successful managing information. So that's what we're going to be driving.
With all this stuff, and it's just, what timing, right? I mean, right now, you've never had a better opportunity to walk into a customer's office, and you're not going to physically walk in, but you get in contact with a customer, and these customers are struggling, right? For the last 10, 20 years, they've had the same type of equipment in there, and the lease came up, and they replaced the equipment, and now all of a sudden, boom, their people are everywhere, their equipment is irrelevant, and they may not even be at the end of their leasing terms, but they need help. They need to be able to tie all their people together and safely, right? They need to be within the network. They need to have the ability to share and collaborate and print and scan and get the products, the files into the system, right? And so that's our world. That's the bread and butter of this community. And so, I don't want to hear any whining. I mean, everybody's, probably struggling, and I'm sure it's hard for everyone out there, but you've never had the ability as a dealer community to walk into a customer and say, where are your pain points, and really mean that, and get an answer back where you've got solutions that can address those, right? So, and the new programs that you're coming up with, they're evolving with it and showing these reps how to sell, how to engage with customers, especially now when it's gone virtual. And, you were hoping they were good at it when it was live, right? But you were keeping your fingers crossed. But now you've got the ability to help them learn, help them train, because they've got time to sit in front of some of these modules and go through them and understand them. It's definitely changing the game for the dealers, for the resellers, and for you guys, providing them with the products and services that they need. So it's been amazing to watch.
No, you're right. I mean, I think you're right on with everything you said. It was almost, I mean, I'll exaggerate it a little bit, but it was almost some of the things we were talking about. Our dealers had to crack through the early adopters, and start with them. Now, all of a sudden, that 20% went to 90%. Everybody needs this now.
Yeah.
And that changes the game in a big way, but you have to be up for it. And you have to be willing to do the things that need to be done. But by all rights, if we play this out correctly, this plays right into the major benefit to what our industry is all about. It was time to take the next step, and now we were put there front and center. And
we were pushed a little,
valuing it.
We were definitely pushed a little, but you look at this community, the channel, and it's a bunch of entrepreneurs, and these guys made their living off of taking products and services and putting them in front of customers that needed it, right? And now you've got a fresh group of customers out there that don't know how they're going to keep everyone together. They may bring people back, they may not. They need flexibility. They're willing to listen for the first time, maybe ever, to a sales rep who's going to try to explain the different options that they have and different ways that a company like a Ricoh dealer or any dealer can help them, right? So good times to be a dealer, I think, going forward. If you've made it this far, you've held on this long, right? And you've still got your people, your customers need you right now. So
well, think about it. What everything that I've been saying, it's about being more agile. Who's more agile than a local dealer?
Yeah.
It's about the customer wanting to bring you in because they trust you, right? And one thing, again, I feel very fortunate, the Ricoh family group, we have a very strong network of dealers, and they are strong and they're successful because they've taken care of the customer. So you have a customer base that trusts you and has had good experience with you.
Yep.
It's kind of the perfect setup, And so I agree. I think there's a lot of opportunity going forward. Obviously, we have to get through a lot of the negative elements that are in the business environment right now. But in the meantime, there's a lot of good dialogue to lead to business that can be taking place right now.
Well, there are a lot of products and SKUs that these dealers have never had before, some from you, some from, other companies that they work with that they've never had an opportunity to sell before, right? And so you add that to an arsenal, to a customer base that, probably mostly already likes you to begin with, and you've got a lot of excuses already to walk right into. The hardest thing for a sales rep is finding that excuse to walk into a customer. Right now, you've never had the ability to walk in and just or call them and say, without asking for anything, without trying to upgrade them on anything, all you're doing is asking, how are you doing? What can I do to help you? That's it. Now you're the nice person. Next thing you know, you're having a conversation about whatever they need. So this is great. I love catching up with you. I wish it was live. I do miss, I miss seeing everyone in person. I miss taking the hat pictures. I mostly miss the bar tab, but, but I appreciate you taking your time out of your schedule to spend with me, and we'll check back in a few months. And any last shout outs, any last words for the listeners?
No, hey, I appreciate the time. We look back a little bit, but more important, we're kind of looking forward. Again, from our standpoint, we feel very fortunate with the entrepreneurs that we have that are part of the Ricoh family. And I'm just going to reiterate what you and I have been saying. I think this is very opportunistic time, and we're looking forward to getting to that next level, and looking at the next 3 to 5 years in a way where our dealers could continue to have major growth. But in the meantime, my final word is just everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to when we could all get back together again.
I look forward to the next ConvergeX, Jim. Thanks so much for joining me today. This has been great. Hello to everybody over at Ricoh. Make sure you say hi to all my friends over there, and we will catch up with you again sometime soon. Thank you.
Sounds good. Andy, take care.
Bye.
All right.